we're coming to your city. Gonna play our guitars and sing you a country song. We'll all be flying higher than a jetliner. And if you want a little bang in your yin-yang, come along.
Come on along and welcome aboard the Indiana Sports Beat with Coy O'Leary, coming to you from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios on this Friday, June 19th. Man, it has been a great week, and we're going to finish it out strong. Alec Lasley from thehoosier.com is going to join us. We're going to talk about some Indiana basketball recruiting. There is a ton to talk about. New offers flying, relationships melding as things got hot and heavy this week as coaches began contacting players on Monday. Plenty of other things to talk about as well. Indiana to review all the building names. 13 players at Texas are COVID-19 positive. Major League Baseball, I don't know that they're any closer to coming together. And the SEC is demanding that the state of Mississippi remove the Confederate symbol from their flag. Todd Leary, hope you're doing well. How's it going?
It's good. It's good. It's Good Friday. Excited about the weekend.
A happy Father's Day weekend. Don't forget about that. Happy Father's Day to everybody. So you got that going for you, which is nice. It should be a great golf weekend if it's Father's Day, if that's what you're looking to do, or a grill or whatever. Should be a good one.
Was today the first day of summer, or is today the last day of spring? Today's the last day of spring, isn't it?
Well, what's the difference? Well, is that right? It's so tomorrow, first day of summer?
Yeah.
Man, it's been unbelievable in this part of the country. The humidity levels, that's the thing. There's been no humidity. I'm like, I don't remember in my lifetime and going a whole week and there not being any humidity. But it's been awesome.
Yep. Temperature-wise, it couldn't. If you're a golfer or love doing stuff outside, it couldn't have been any better.
Trey Patterson going to Villanova. No shock there. Kind of pretty much everybody we expected to hear that. We'll talk more about that with Alec Lasley when he comes on. But that was no shocker. But Indiana's made more offers this week. I saw A.J. Casey, kid from Chicago, got a 5-star, got an offer. But lots to talk about there. And then also in the Hoosier Daily News, there's all kinds of stuff going on there. But did you read the Hoosier Daily today, Todd?
Today? No. Yesterday I did.
Always good to stay up on it. What was that, Jimmy?
I gave him a retweet. Of course I did.
Hey, you're moving up in the world, man.
I got on Twitter for the first time in who knows how long.
You're moving up in the world. Let's
Big
see.
time.
Elijah Sabatini also puts Indiana in his final 8 on the football side. Yeah, after they renamed the Wildermuth Center, which is hyper, but turns out that dude was a segregationist on top of things. So they've renamed that, of course, after Bill Garrett. But Indiana is going to review all building names on the campus now to make sure that they're not named after some slacker.
I agree. Hey, you know what? We can all learn and adapt, and I know some of us don't love change a whole lot, me being one of those. But it's just one of those scenarios that if it is outdated, we should probably make a change to it.
I agree, and there's a lot of things that are outdated, but we'll get to that. But what else what do you got playing on this weekend? What's going on for your Father's Day weekend?
Oh, hanging with the boys a little bit over the weekend, and I'll probably squeeze in around a golf or two or 4.
Quite certain that will definitely be happening for you. My game was terrible yesterday, but man, Major League Baseball, I cannot believe they have continued to do what they're doing as far as they're not endearing themselves to the public more. And to me, that's probably the organization that is least already.
How many times can you have to bounce back from being jerks and idiots like it?
And how many can you? How many times can you?
I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. I mean, they spent now it's just normal, but you remember years and years ago, like, if a player threw a baseball up into the stands, it was, it might happen once or twice a game. Now it happens 4 times every inning, at least. And that was kind of their half-hearted gesture, I guess, at getting the fans more involved once they had that lockout or strike years ago. What are they going to do now? I mean, literally going to hand bats out. What in the world are they going to do to come back from this? And that was just a small little thing that they did, but it was obvious what they were doing.
Yep, no doubt. The SEC is demanding that the state of Mississippi remove the Confederate flag from their flag from the state flag, or they will be losing the ability to host conference events. That's a pretty strong stance from the SEC because that is obviously the Confederate flag in the South. You got a lot of holdouts, and Mississippi, the lone state, I believe, now remaining that has that on their flag. But wow, the SEC, that's pretty big. And also the AD, I think it was from Ole Miss, came out, the same thing. It's time that they get into step with reality down there. But
yeah, I mean if the flag represents something that's offensive to a lot of people, and it means different things to different people, I'm sure. But if it represents something that is offensive, I don't understand why anybody would have a problem with it.
Old guard, man. The old guard.
They're going to have people that say, it's our freedom of speech or it's our right to have this or whatever. And look, at the end of the day, if we're just trying to get along, if everybody's trying to get along, if it irritates somebody else, why would it be that big a deal? Give me a break.
Yep. It's certainly, I think it goes beyond that stuff. It's just people trying to hold on to the past and a disingenuous past. So hopefully they'll get that cleaned up. I think that we're in a different age. If people don't realize that, then your head's south and south of the border.
You look at what does it do for the city of Indianapolis when they get to host like the Super Bowl, for example, or when the Big Ten tournament is there, and
Big Ten championship,
all the money that comes along with it that comes into the community. And if you want to host that, you got to play the game, and that's just basically what the SEC is saying to the state of Mississippi.
Yeah, granted, Mississippi is probably not going to be hosting anything major, but
probably not.
But it's just it has to be done. I mean, there's no way they can continue to just thumb their nose at society and get away with it. I mean, they can, but I guess that's part of the reason why they are doing it is because they're not going to get anything big. They're not a big time state, so they they think they can just say, we'll just do whatever we want.
They're flying under the radar, but the radar is expanded now. So,
well, the radar's on them pretty tight since they're the only one. But looking forward to that. But man, basketball recruiting in full gear. Alec Lasley is going to join us in the next segment. We're going to talk about that. But it's a busy week. No traveling for these guys, which makes it quite different. I'm sure it's nicer from the standpoint of not having to travel. You can spend a lot less money, especially Archie, because he spent more money than anybody last year. But, man, the money they save on this, could this be a new wave of the future? I mean, I know they won't as soon as they are allowed to bring them back on, they will. But if they think of the money that is saved simply by not having 4 or 5 coaches out on the road traveling at all time, spending just thousands upon thousands of dollars traveling and this, that, and the other thing. It can be done.
No, it can be done, but it'll never happen because, it's like keeping up with the Joneses. Like other coaches are going to do it. The big schools with big money, Ohio States, are going to do it. So you have to play the game. You've got to be a part of it. You can't allow them to have that advantage because they're willing to spend the money. Yeah,
because I assure you, somewhere, if we had to go back in history, some coach was the first guy to go visit a recruit.
Sure,
I'm sure they didn't used to do that.
In-home visits were not always a thing.
A thing. They said, "Hey, you want to come to the school, see the school, come on down," and that's how it probably was it. But back in the day,
it used to be, back even way before even I played. It used to be a thing. All you had to do as a coach is go win somebody's mom over. If a coach came in and won their mom over, that's where the kid was going.
How many times did you see the campus before you were offered a scholarship?
Well, at IU, officially 0. Now, I had gone with Montross down to some practices and games and stuff before, but
as far as for yourself officially, never.
I didn't even remember the whole Jay Edwards thing.
Right. Well, that's why. But
I went to Purdue in Minnesota. I mean, I had been there, so I mean, I had visited those campuses, but no one had come to my house. I mean, you could kind of set limitations on that and whether you want them to or don't. And I didn't want to. I mean, the hardest part, I mean, this is where the Archie Millers and all the coaches that make big money and all the coaches in general, this is where the hard work is. Like, we all think it's the off season right now. Well, it's the off season for the fans, but the coaches, I mean, you think about right now having to recruit a kid and spend as much time as you're having to spend with a 2022 kid that you're at best not going to see for 2 more seasons. And then the second you send all these offers out, then you got to hang the phone up and start calling the 2023 kids. Like, it is a never ending process.
And recruiting, just from a coaching standpoint, it sucks. There is nothing. There is nothing. And I mean, nothing fun about recruiting.
It's a crystal ball. You're trying to predict the future. You're trying to guess, you're trying to find out about a kid, how big his parents are and how big his grandpa was, and what the lineage is of his family, and if they're athletic and if they're big and tall and strong.
Now you add
and then you're trying to figure out if he can play basketball.
Then now you add in social media. You have to add in the characters that come with this social media now, because it changes the personality of some of these people. They either love it, they really get, or some of them are standoffish, Trey Galloway types. Hey, just not shun that stuff. But so you got to deal with all that. It is just so much. Now we've got all these things that are changing, the name, image, likeness, which I think is that is the worst thing to happen to college athletics in a long time. I think if they do that, it's just you cannot beat this dead horse enough. But there's just no way, because there's just too many people that this does not affect in a positive way. How many people are really going to have name, image, likeness deals? Very, very few. This is the 1%. This is for the 1% basically of athletes, because when you look at a school like IU, tennis, golf, all these things, 90% of these athletes, 95% of these athletes are not going to go on to become professional athletes. They're going to become whatever it is they went to school. So 95% of these kids are getting the education they need. The other 5% are getting that plus the name, image, likeness, which is cool and all, but it's just such a small number that I don't know. It's just a weird disparity.
Yeah, but I think that when you're talking about the Zion Williamsons of the world, you are correct. That's the 1%. But if you take the guys that are just on the team, take X car dealer in whatever city, USA you want it to be, and him to offer something to the kids on the team for an autograph signing or for whatever it may be, everyone will probably benefit, or most people will benefit from something like that. Now, it won't be the Nike $100,000 deals. It won't be the one thing that was crazy was when they talked about Zion Williamson, they talked about off of his social media pages alone, he would have earned $400,000 a year because of how many followers and stuff he has. That's the stuff I don't know how they're going to regulate. I mean, IU kids are going to have a lot more followers than the average kid that plays somewhere because the IU fan base is so big.
IU baseball is the number one social media baseball in the Big Ten. I think soccer is the same way. We know how big basketball is, so you're right. That's a great point.
And it's only going to make the Ohio States of the world that much bigger and stronger because their alumni base is so big, their fan base is so big.
And that's my point. To me, it's going to ruin college sports because it's catering to the 1%, and the 1% is the elite. And now you're just going to make the elite that much stronger or better. And
the hard part is, like, I don't agree with the amateurism rule either. I don't think that they should get nothing, but I do think that they should regulate. I think that they should say this is the maximum someone can get. There's no reason why a college kid needs to make $400,000 a year.
No, absolutely not.
Only bad things are going to happen in that scenario.
The fact that they're getting a free education, and it's not just the education, it's the education that goes along with the education that I don't think people think about. But the value there, especially at a school like, what the hell is an Indiana degree worth? A lot. That's a valuable degree right there. And I don't
just tell everybody with a student loan.
Yeah, I guarantee you, I'm so tired of hearing about these kids. Oh, they're getting screwed over. They're not getting screwed over. Trust me. I mean, ask like you. Did you feel like you got a raw deal?
No, I didn't. But also you can't. I don't think it's fair to say they shouldn't get anything either.
No, I agree with you.
But I swear to you, like I'm one of those people that I don't like to say there's a problem if I don't have a good solution that I could recommend, and I don't have a good solution. I don't know what's fair when it comes to this. So it's very difficult for me to say they should or shouldn't get this.
Well, we got to take a quick break. Alec Lasley from thehoosier.com is going to join us next. We're talking some Indiana basketball recruiting. Make sure you go to thehoosier.com for complete coverage of IU athletics. You can sign up. They got some great deals going on there, as a matter of fact. But stay tuned. We're coming back to talk about that, plenty more from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. Looking for something to do this weekend for Father's Day. I got you covered. Man, oh, man, you can get Dad down to French Lick to play the Donald Ross course for $1. That's right. Score some major dad points this Father's Day. Treating him to a round on the Donald Ross course at French Lick. Dad plays for just $1 with a full paid round on Sunday, June 21st. Hurry, tee times won't last. Call 812-936-5523. 812-936-5523. We're back with more Indiana Sports Beat with Coy O'Leary right after this.
I don't care if Monday's blue, Tuesday's gray, and Wednesday's too.
Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs, Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
I'm Ryan Shaddy, and I'm a Hoosier. As a toddler, you could always find me running around in a cream and crimson onesie and a red IU hat reminiscent of those worn during the world-famous William Tell timeout, shouting, "Go Hoosiers!" Like many other alum, I chose to make Bloomington my home. As a civic and alumni leader, I have become very knowledgeable about our community and would love to share my insights with you as your realtor. Find me on Facebook or call or text me, Ryan Shaddy, with FC Tucker Bloomington Realtors at 765-623-9093.
Now that warm weather has arrived, it's time to hit the links, and there's no better place than the Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers of the Bloomington Herald-Times, the Golf Club at Eagle Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Pub and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make a tee time. That's 812-824-1100. The Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. This is Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat with Coyle and Leary. Indiana Sports Beat is now a part of the Rivals Network. You can go to thehoosier.com to sign up. It's free. Catch the show there each day live or at your convenience. You can also like or follow us on Facebook, follow the show's rebroadcast anywhere you podcast. If we're not on a radio station where you live, we should be. Let your local station know they need to carry Indiana Sports Beat with Coyle and Leary, or simply go to thehoosier.com.
Some of the best sounds you'll ever hear are generic, safe, effective, even money-saving, just like FDA-approved generic drugs. Even if they don't come in the exact same color or shape as their brand name equivalents, they have the same key ingredients and go through a rigorous review process. Talk to your doctor or pharmacist today and visit fda.gov/generic drugs. Generics are safe, effective, and can save you money. You'll like the sound of that.
This is former Indiana basketball player Brian Evans, and you're listening to Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle.
Today's guest is brought to you by Reynolds Family Dentistry of Sellersburg. You need $1 million smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you'll get with Reynolds Family Dentistry. Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat. Coyle Ray coming to you from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios on this Friday. It's June 19th, and as promised, Alec Lasley from thehoosier.com is with us. We're talking some Indiana basketball recruiting, and there's tons to talk about, Alec, because it was a busy week, not only for Indiana and this coaching staff, but for you as well, trying to keep up with it.
Yeah, definitely. I think it was even a little bit crazier this year just because there really haven't been any, like live evaluation periods. There hasn't been any visits. So I think everyone was just kind of waiting for this moment to really happen. And obviously, like you said, it's been a pretty busy week.
New offers out, but there's also guys that they've just trying to re-solidify relationships with. We saw Trey Patterson yesterday go to Villanova, completely expected. Indiana was in the Final Three, but that was pretty much expected. Now the attention really turns to Kaufman and Miller and those guys, in addition to all the new guys that we currently hear. There are a lot of 2022 guys names popping up this week.
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, over the last couple of weeks, I think you could kind of see Patterson trending more towards Villanova than IU. Obviously, Indiana did a great job maintaining that contact and being in that recruitment for as long as they did. But, obviously now, like you said, Trey Kaufman, Mason Miller, the two guys that really IU is going to really turn their full attention to in that 2021 class to try to solidify that kind of front court and kind of hybrid forward position. But because obviously losing out on Trey Patterson, that 2022 class, you're seeing a lot more wings and kind of hybrid forwards now that IU's reaching out to and starting to offer and start to develop that relationship with.
I know that a lot of people are curious, and I know for Kaufman, he's in no hurry, but timeline wise, Miller, is that going to happen this year, you think?
I don't necessarily know if I would say this year. I mean, I guess it all depends when kids are allowed to get on campus and start to take some visits. He's definitely going to be one that will take some visits and really kind of draw out his recruitment a little bit more than maybe some other ones. But, depending on when that kind of timeline happens, it may be pushed up and maybe, kind of pushed back depending on what Trey Kaufman does and kind of when he decides to kind of pull the trigger and commit.
In that vein of thought, what do you think could be the next thing to happen, or next commitment? And it could be not necessarily either one of these two guys. I mean, there's other guys out there, Blake Wesley, that they've looked at, obviously, and then some names we'll talk about here in a second as well. How much longer do you think before the next thing happens for Indiana basketball, commitment-wise or other?
Yeah, I mean, quite honestly, I don't know that there will be much that happens. Obviously, not this summer. I really don't think even in the fall. So I think it basically come basketball season, when that does happen. And then kind of the start of 2021, I think you'll start to see some more of these guys start to really kind of commit and kind of put the full court press on certain recruitments, just because hopefully, assuming by that time kids will be able to get on campus for those recruiting visits and really start to kind of take their relationship with programs to the next step and their recruitment to the next step as well. So I don't think anything's really going to happen in the near future, just because, a lot of these kids aren't able to get on campus.
A lot of new names this week, as I talked about, starting Monday, as coaches were allowed to start making contact with them, which they did so recruiting process via Zoom, Skype, whatever they're doing. But a lot of names out there. Who are some of those names that some names we hadn't heard before, Alec?
Yeah, definitely. A couple of them, Leon Bond, MJ Rice, AJ Casey. Again, those are some of I know there's a couple more, but those are kind of the three guys that when we were talking a little bit before about trying to kind of develop and build some more relationships with some more kind of hybrid forwards that they've really kind of missed out on in the past couple of years. Those are three guys, can play both on the wing and really kind of more of a traditional perimeter player, and not so much of just strictly a guard, which they've missed. Obviously with kind of Justin Smith, he was more of that kind of hybrid forward, but didn't have a lot of those true kind of perimeter skills. So Indiana is really starting to kind of build that core group of guys, especially on the perimeter. And AJ Casey actually ended up getting that offer from Indiana last night. So he's definitely one of these guys that I would obviously keep an eye on as we, eventually start to really ramp up the recruitment with these 2022 guys. But he's going to be someone that, a lot of these programs around the country are going to be going after pretty hard.
Yeah, for those that don't know, AJ Casey got the offer last night. Kid out of Chicago, I think, right?
Yeah, he played his freshman season at Simeon and then transferred last year to Tinley Park.
So he's teammates with fellow 22 Jalen Washington of Mean Streets, Illinois, who also, I think, holds an Indiana offer, correct?
Yeah, that was actually Indiana's first offer, and basically Jalen Washington's first major offer. So they've definitely put in the work with him already so far. So the relationship between them is great already, and IU's obviously looking to do that with some of these other 2022 guys moving forward.
Todd, the funny thing is the name Romeo Langford is such a lightning rod with IU fans, but I don't know how many times I see him listed and mentioned by other recruits when they're looking at Indiana or whatever. It's funny how he's viewed so differently by fans and by potential recruits. They see him as a guy who went to Indiana, went to the NBA, and that's how they see him. So his name pops up a lot as someone.
And his path is exactly what the majority of these kids want to do. And so even though, on paper, Indiana didn't make the NCAA tournament, didn't have a big run with Romeo, didn't have the dream season everyone as a fan was hoping for, it did a lot of really good things for Indiana from the standpoint of how recruits look at the program and the coaching staff and the ability to be able to get a player, a one-and-done player to the NBA and get drafted early. There's a lot of positives that come out of that. And you can't – I think it was – you said lightning rod, which is kind of right on the money. It was the lightning rod that kind of got things started on the recruiting side for Indiana, for Archie Miller. And I don't think you can undervalue that enough. And if you want to – there's no – look, he was here for one season. He dealt with some different things. It was early in Archie's career. I think if it was 5 years into Archie's career and they had him, I think things might have been different. But I think everybody was that was Archie's first one and done player. Like, it's not easy to coach a one and done. And I'm not saying he would have done anything different. I'm not saying he wouldn't have. I think there's a lot of positives that will continue to come to Indiana. Like you said, we're seeing them now that were Romeo Langford based.
I mean, just to kind of chime in there, the one thing that I feel like a lot of people tend to forget, obviously, because of the season that IU had, was just statistically, he had a very good year. Like, he had one of the better freshman seasons in Indiana basketball history, and people tend to kind of forget that. So obviously, if you're looking at it just from a recruit's perspective, obviously everyone wants to win and compete at the highest level, but a lot of these players are looking kind of for that stepping stone now to get to the next level and obviously showcase their skills. And Langford obviously at times, wasn't able to fully do that just because of maybe the team around him. And like you guys were talking about, Archie not really being able to know exactly kind of what he was doing with his first one and done. But overall, I mean, he had a very good season that a lot of people tend to forget about.
We mentioned Jalen Washington a minute ago, another this kid's out of the 2022 class as well, but teammates with who we were just talking about, Casey?
AJ Casey, yeah.
But this kid's from Gary West up there. But, man, he's got a lot of people that are talking to him, a lot of big-time programs, Michigan, Duke, Syracuse, Louisville, Alabama, Maryland, UCLA, Ohio State, among others in your piece. But he's a big man, and that again, that would be a great piece for Archie for a number of reasons. He's an Indiana kid, but he's talented, and he's a big. They don't have a lot of bigs that I've seen on their menu right now that they're going after.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the crazy thing is he spent way more time off of the floor in the past 2 years since he got into high school than he has actually playing. Tore his ACL last year, basically at the beginning of the season, so missed that whole year. And then his freshman year had a shoulder injury that caused him to miss most of that season as well. So you look at it from that way. All these big-time programs know already that the talent that he does have, and he really hasn't even been on the floor that much. So I think this year, obviously staying healthy is going to be crucial for him, but I think that kind of recruitment is even going to skyrocket more when he is able to have a full kind of year and season under his belt.
But on the flip side of that, he's one of those players that might commit earlier than some others in his class because of the injury. Because if he comes up with a second ACL injury, which we all know in basketball is possible at any time, his offers all go right out the window. So in a time when we're seeing kids delay, and not commit early, I think he's one of the guys with the 2 injuries that could potentially sign earlier.
And at 6'8", he's right there with Kaufman and Miller. Does their recruitment impact his recruitment, Alec?
No, not really. I mean, especially not so much for Mason Miller. Even Trey Kaufman. Those guys do like to play on the perimeter a little bit more and kind of more of that hybrid forward role right now. Jalen Washington, definitely more of a back to the basket kind of post player. He's still developing some more of those kind of perimeter skills, but as of right now, those guys would not really impact too much. If anything, it kind of help just because you would have a little bit more space to operate in the paint and on the block without having 2 true post players like we kind of saw Indiana's offense run this past year with Joey Brunk and Jackson Davis, and we saw at times how kind of stagnant that really was.
Any new names that we have not heard at all yet that fans may hear in the coming weeks?
Yeah, what about the Alex Caravan guy, Alec?
Yeah, I really like him. I really do.
Too.
I think he would be fantastic for an Archie Miller type offense, kind of a 3 true wing that's really able to kind of make plays for others. He's a very, very good passer, which I think is probably the most underrated part of his game and that people don't really look at. He's a top 100 guy right now. The one thing about him, he goes to the same high school that Noah Vonleh went to, Mike Roberts went to, a flurry of other former IU players as well. So there's definitely a good trend there. And he told me he was actually very, very impressed with the kind of presentation that IU put on during their Zoom call the other day. So if anything, I think he's definitely one guy to really kind of watch out for. As someone who may end up committing a little bit earlier. Not saying obviously that's going to happen anytime soon, but out of that 2022 class, he's definitely someone that is really high on IU as of right now.
He to me, watching a lot of these guys play, and I watched a lot of video of the guys IU has sent offers out to. He's a sophomore, going to be junior in high school version of Luka Garza to me. Like, he had a lot of the same skill set, plays with his back to the basket a lot, which I don't think he'll do that in college, but I love the ability to be able to do it. Makes a lot of off balance shots. I was super impressed with him, and he's a guy I would bump to the top of my list if I were looking for an early commit for IU. That's a guy I'd put up there.
Yeah, like I said, I think the one thing with him is he does kind of have that versatility to play on the block and then also on the wing. That's one thing that he told me that when they did have the presentation the other day, Archie really showed him a lot of kind of that 3-4 hybrid forward type role. Kind of a obviously much different skill set, but kind of that position that we've seen out of Justin Smith and Troy Williams over the past couple of years. But definitely someone that like you said, I would kind of watch out for as a much earlier commit than some of these other guys.
Yeah. Where do you think Indiana is in his recruiting?
They're very good. They were one of the first ones to offer him, and that was before actually right around the start of the pandemic here. But they've really started to ramp up that recruitment process as well, and they're doing a great job with him. And like I said, there's a lot of good pull that they have from the New England, New Hampshire, Northeast area. And I really think that's going to end up benefiting them in the long run here.
Well, you got Jordan Geronimo, who's coming down from that very area right now, and I'm sure he's going to be reaching out to do some recruiting, because that's one thing these kids have been good at, I've noticed. Especially, nobody's been better than Trace Jackson Davis at being a recruiter for his school. He is just constantly doing that, reaching out. And to me, that's leadership. And the funny thing is, I think about that, and I think back certain other players, I don't recall them ever doing that.
Yeah,
I agree. Yeah, think about this and take the basketball side out of it, because we're looking at it as just fun basketball, college basketball. We've all been in situations where you've started a new job and you've gone into a new place where there's a bunch of different personalities in there that you're going to meet. You got to see how you're going to get along with different people. And you guys know how uncomfortable that situation can be if there's a bunch of idiots in there that you don't want to be around every day. And that's what I keep saying to you over and over, Jim, is that's what Indiana has won over the years, because the Trace Jackson Davises of the world and Rob Finney's and Armand Franklin. All these guys are good guys to be around. And that just can only make the recruiting process that much easier. And you continue to bring guys like that in. And so that's where I think they've got just a huge advantage right now.
Well, plus you see, the kids that are coming in: Christian Lander, Trey Galloway, Anthony Leo. We don't know as much about Geronimo, but just from what I've seen, he seems to be of that same ilk. But we know these guys they're basketball guys, they're team guys, they're Indiana guys. It is a different mentality.
They're good guys. I mean, they're not going to come into the locker room. I mean, believe me, I did this. You walk into the locker room for the first time. I don't know what Jamal Meeks is going to be like. I don't know what Mark Robinson or Jeff Oliphant are going to be like. And you walk in there and you're nervous. Like, you don't know what it's going to be like.
Because they know it's their job. It's their job to do it.
Be welcoming / big brotherish / you're going to follow and do kind of what we tell you is it's a tough situation to be in as a 18-year-old kid. And that's I just love Indiana's locker room right now. I really, really do.
And Alec, that has a lot to do with this recruitment process. I mean, these kids, I think that if we feel that, if we see that, then they see that. They feel that. I mean, I don't know if that's true or not, but I think they're smart enough to be able to see whether a team seems to be gelling or a team that doesn't seem to be gelling. And this is a team that has not seemed to gel for 3 years, but they're getting way closer to that, as you're talking about.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And I actually saw, I can't remember who it was, but I think it was an IU football recruit tweeted this out last night that, obviously coming up on making a decision, it's obviously not just a decision for the next couple of years. He actually said this is a 30, 40-year decision that he's about to make. And, obviously, you can go around to the different programs around the country and really see if they do have, obviously some of these programs have like slogans, the brotherhood, the family, stuff like that. Some is actually more of a brotherhood than others. But I think you can really start to see that with IU starting to build that kind of family mentality and group of guys like you guys are talking about that are actually true, good guys, not so much just, basketball players, but just good people that you want to be around too.
Like anything else that we haven't hit on?
No, just we're working on getting our hot board up for 2022. That should be up in the next couple of days. Obviously, with a lot of action over the last week, definitely some good stuff to come out from that.
Yeah, probably wasn't expected to be that busy with that, but certainly there and doing an excellent job at thehoosier.com. Make sure you give him a follow on Twitter, by the way. We got to get his Twitter followers up at Al Lasley. But give him a follow, especially over at thehoosier.com, because he's doing a bang-up job covering recruiting. Excellent job, man. Appreciate you very much, Alec.
Thanks, guys.
Have a great weekend, brother.
See ya.
Alec Lasley joining us here on Indiana Sports Beat. We got more coming up. We'll be back to cover it from the Golf Club Eagle Point Studios. We're back with more right after this.
Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
I'm Rain Shaddy, and I'm a Hoosier. As a toddler, you could always find me running around in a cream and crimson onesie and a red IU hat reminiscent of those worn during the world-famous William Tell timeout, shouting, "Go Hoosiers!" Like many other alum, I chose to make Bloomington my home. As a civic and alumni leader, I have become very knowledgeable about our community and would love to share my insights with you as your realtor. Find me on Facebook or call or text me, Ryan Shaddy, with FC Tucker Bloomington Realtors at 765-623-9093.
Now that warm weather has arrived, it's time to hit the links, and there's no better place than the Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers of the Bloomington Herald-Times, the Golf Club at Eagle Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Pub and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make a tee time. That's 812-824-1100. The Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. This is Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat with Coyle and Leary. Indiana Sports Beat is now a part of the Rivals Network. You can go to thehoosier.com to sign up. It's free. Catch the show there each day live or at your convenience. You can also like or follow us on Facebook, follow the show's rebroadcast anywhere you podcast. If we're not on a radio station where you live, we should be. Let your local station know they need to carry Indiana Sports Beat with Coyle and Leary, or simply go to thehoosier.com.
Some of the best sounds you'll ever hear are generic, safe, effective, even money-saving, just like FDA-approved generic drugs. Even if they don't come in the exact same color or shape as their brand name equivalents, they have the same key ingredients and go through a rigorous review process. Talk to your doctor or pharmacist today and visit fda.gov/generic drugs. Generics are safe, effective, and can save you money. You'll like the sound of that.
Hey, this is Jordan Halls, former Indiana Hoosier. Keep up with Indiana sports on Indiana Sports Beat.
Closing time for you to go out to the places you will.
Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat. Coyle and Leary coming to you from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios on this Friday, June 19th. It's going to be an absolutely beautiful Father's Day weekend. Happy Father's Day to everybody. Get out and enjoy it.
Jimmy's got some emo music going on today.
Yeah, boy, just get bouncing us around. Kind of good, kind of good. Tim hit the text line up. He's got several on here. Basketball class of 2022 looks loaded. Yeah, IU has several offers going out, as we just discussed. He's talking about going after Oklahoma State transfer, 6'10" center Yori Anai. I don't know that guy works out in what Archie's got going. I just don't know that he can. If you notice, he doesn't go after a lot of big guys. 6'8", kind of 6'9", maybe Trace Jackson Davis. That seems to be where he wants to be, his ceiling, and where he wants his guys, especially when you look at who he's chasing right now.
Yeah, I mean, it fits the player profile of getting up and down the floor a little better. It's hard to find. There's just not very many 6'10" plus guys out there that run the floor and get up and down quickly. I mean, the Joey Brunks of the world. And I love Joey Brunk for a million different reasons, but I mean, you can't play that fast when you've got him on the court.
Deron Davis.
Yeah, I mean that's
of course his is injury riddled, but that's still the point. Doesn't matter.
But he was heavy the majority of his career. I mean, he was never a guy that was flying up and down the court.
Yeah, he's a guy that you can only bring in for a couple minutes at a time.
But you've also got to have, Logan Duncombe is a guy who I think he's 6'9" right now.
Yeah.
But he's got, I mean, his dad's also 6'9". He's
a different 6'9".
Yeah, and he could be 6'11" by the time he gets here.
Yeah.
And so you don't need 4 of those guys on your roster, but you do need 4 6'6" to 6'9" guys that are athletic and can go up and down the court.
Yeah,
and that's where, right now Archie's done a fantastic job with the guards. They've got bigger guards. They've got athletic / 1-2/2-3 position. Indiana is pretty solid in for a while, but they're going to need to replace, this is the real difficulty. I keep giving them credit and thinking about how difficult it is to be a coach, but you think about right now we're worried about 2020, 2021. I mean, we want this season now. We want winning now. And then you're also got to prepare for the fact of it's a strong possibility Trace Jackson Davis has a great year and gets drafted in the top 10 and leaves for the NBA, and you've got to replace that. And so, yes, we need the instant gratification of winning this season, but you also have to be at all times planning to replace, a transfer or an NBA leave or injuries or whatever else might happen. And the moving parts that are associated with coaching and recruiting it's crazy. I mean, it'll spin your mind.
Another text in. What is Trey Kaufman waiting for? Well, he's in no hurry. He's a very extremely smart kid. Very, very, very into his academics.
He's in
no hurry.
It's hard to be upset with someone going through the process and taking their time to make a decision.
It's ridiculous to be upset with him about it.
At some point in time, like what you can't do if you're a kid in the position of Trey Kaufman or any of these other kids we just listed with the offers is you can't really complain about getting too much attention or it taking up too much of your time, because you could end all that real quickly. If it's really bothering you, you could make a commitment right away and go somewhere and get everybody off your back. But it's hard to blame a kid for taking his time to make a huge decision in his life.
Let's see. Another one. We've talked about Romeo a lot this year. Would Romeo's career at IU been totally different if he would have stopped playing and got his hand surgery? Well, all right. I know that's probably coming from the New Albany area. His hand didn't mean jack. His hand did not affect him in the slightest. And people that want to believe it, you can. But I just don't understand the obsession that he was injured, though. He was not. That did not affect his shot. He was not a good shooter. That's why the first thing that the Celtics did was tape a ping pong paddle to his hand to try to fix his shot. Had nothing to do with his thumb. This thumb, in my opinion, it had no effect on it.
The thing with Romeo Langford was from the time he was a freshman in high school on, he was considered a great shooter. And that's because he's a super high volume shooter.
Scorer.
He played on a team where he was allowed to shoot anytime he wanted to from anywhere on the court.
But and the majority of his points did not come from shooting.
I watched 100 games of his before he ever got to IU. And I would have never in a million years classified him as a great shooter.
Scorer.
Now, great scorer, one of the best that there is. We've talked about it over and over again. Finishers at the rim, he's top 3 at IU of all time. Finishers at the rim. Shooters from the outside, he's not in the top 50. So when you look at that, he gets the stigma from the people who do the ranking, which is another reason why I have a problem with him all the time. But the people who do the ranking put him up there as a shooter/scorer, and he's not. But he was a great player. Had he been there for 3 or 4 years, he would have been a terrific IU player.
But the end result is the thumb had. The
thumb didn't have anything to do with it. Thumb didn't have anything to do with it.
Nothing. And I just.
People remember him sitting out the NIT game because of the thumb, and that was come on, actually. People. Let's be for real.
The thumb had nothing to do with his season, so the answer to that question is no, but it had no bearing because it didn't affect his season in any way. People just like to think that for whatever reason.
And if it did have an effect, it was a very small effect. Like maybe he might have been a little bit better if it was completely healthy, but it did not affect. It was not all of a sudden going to make him a 47% 3-point shooter.
Because if there was even pain, you take what's a cortisone shot, and then there is no pain.
Everybody plays with pain. I mean, it's just look the amount of games that you play in college, and then I can only guess in the NBA, the percentage of games that you play without pain and injuries is less than 10%. I can assure you.
He sees 22-plus wins this year and a top 3 Big Ten. That's kind of aligned with what your thoughts are. You're kind of in that same camp. I'm close to that. I don't know about the wins. I'll have to look at the schedule, but I think they're top 4 in the Big Ten. I don't put them in the top 3 yet, but definitely we've talked about this before. The roster overhaul is continuing heading in the right direction for Archie Miller and for an Archie Miller team. And the guys that we've talked about today and the guys that are coming in next year are continuing to add to that discussion.
Yeah, I mean, here's – none of us can predict it. We don't have that crystal ball. But if you look at take my educated guess in this and say, I think there's more than a 75% chance that Indiana has a very, very strong season and finishes, in the top 4 of the Big Ten and has 24, 5, 6 wins and gets up there and has a decent NCAA bid. I think there's a really, really good chance of that happening. You're going to also be relying on so many freshmen and underclassmen. I think there's a 25% chance they win 15 games and have a very mediocre to horrible season. But I think the likelihood is much more trending towards the fact of they should have a really good season.
There's going to be a lot of guys that get a lot of time. I mean, we kind
There's a lot of guys that are going to get a lot of time that have never played a second in the college basketball right now.
Because that's what
that's
one
hard
thing
to predict.
Archie does. Archie, he turns them loose in the beginning of the season. He will allow you. He'll gives you the rope. He gives you the opportunity. We saw last year with Armand Franklin. He got all the opportunity he wanted in the pre-conference, especially, and he does it to everybody, and that's good because you see who can play, who can handle the pressure, who can rise up, and who's not. And so you got some great guys coming in with Christian Lander, smart ball players, Leo and Galloway and Geronimo.
You've got skilled outside players, which I mean, if you look at the recipe, I think we would all agree. I don't think anyone, even NBA scouts, no one would disagree with the fact of Trayce Jackson-Davis should have a better season in his sophomore year, simply because there are more players on Indiana that are weapons to score from the outside. They can't collapse everything inside like they could in the past. There were games last year in the Big Ten where the second that Trayce Jackson-Davis touched the ball, they were double teams, sometimes triple teams. And when that's the case, it causes turnovers. It disrupts the offense. There's just a million different things that get affected by that. And that should not be the case in this season to be. So Trayce Jackson-Davis should have a better season. Now, I said this to you a couple of weeks ago. Trayce Jackson-Davis averaged 13, almost 14 points a game last season. I don't all of a sudden look for him to average 20. If he averages 16 to 17 points a game, that's a dramatic increase for a kid from his freshman to sophomore year. And I will look at it as an extremely successful season if he does that. He doesn't need to go average 22 points a game in order for it to be a breakout year.
That's true. And again, one of the things that we talked about is the chemistry on this team.
Yeah.
These guys coming in, at least three of them, and Geronimo will as soon as he gets here, but especially the Leo and the Galloway in the middle, they already have chemistry with these guys. And that is something that has been missing before. They didn't. There was no chemistry at the start, at least, before they got here. But now you got guys that have chemistry. Christian Lander, too. All three of those guys, they know each other. And they know guys that are on this team that they're going to play with. That's been different in the last couple of years because we haven't had that. How valuable is that?
Yeah, I cannot put how big of a difference it is. I can't quantify it because when everybody gets along, and I don't mean it's kumbaya all the time. I mean, you're going to have competitive fights within each other. That's great. That's awesome. You want that. But when you guys all get along, and when practice is over and guys go eat lunch together, and they go, when the day off, and they're all hanging out together, it creates a chemistry and a bond that it's just way better and different than the teams that don't have that. And this team has the makeup to have that. And I don't want to place blame on anyone. I wish the best for the Justin Smiths and Devontae Greens and Deron Davises of the world. I wish the best for them and their futures. But I'm glad that we have the roster we have at Indiana right now, because I think it has the makeup for not just the best quality team they can put on the floor, but the best locker room they can have as well.
Yes, one team going one direction, because that has not been the case here in the last few years. You've got guys that were going in two different directions, and when you're pulling in two different directions, you're weakening, not strengthening.
I don't think Justin Smith is a problem. I don't think he's a jerk. I don't think he's an issue. He's a cool guy. Like I've said this for 2 years with
just
you.
Going
now.
in a different direction.
He's a cool guy. And it's hard for a guy like Trayce Jackson-Davis to break out and let his personality take over when you've got an older upperclassman that's there. That's a cool guy. And cool guys are tough to coach. They really are, because you never feel like they're giving you 100%. I think Romeo Langford was a cool guy. I don't think you ever felt like he was giving you 110%. Doesn't mean I don't like him. Doesn't mean he's a bad person. He's difficult to coach.
I can see that easily. And
I've coached enough AAU. I can tell you, cool guys are very difficult to coach.
I think Trayce Jackson-Davis did an outstanding job living in that situation last year, because you could see him trying naturally wanting to kind of break out and evolve. You could see it last year, and when he's telling him to dunk that stuff or whatever, that's evolving as a player and a leader, and it was being suppressed.
It tells you how mature Trayce Jackson-Davis and how great his personality really was. Because let me tell you this, if that scenario that took place in that Minnesota game last year happened to Pat Graham, if he says that to Pat Graham, maybe in the middle of the game he gets punched right in the mouth. Possibly. But for sure, by the time you get to the bench into the locker room, Justin Smith gets punched right in the mouth.
And yeah, that had gone away. And I'm not saying advocating fighting, but what I'm saying is you want that toughness amongst each other because you want to be fighting for the same thing. And like I said, they were going in different directions. They were not fighting for the same thing. And that's how it should be. You're right.
I'm getting fired up. I need to calm myself back down. I need to drink some coffee or something to calm down. Because
that coffee ain't going to calm you down and take the opposite way. But that's good, though. That's the passion. Because that passion hasn't been there for a couple of years. And the passion's there, but it's not in the right direction from fans alike. I mean, it's hard to get excited about when you see something that you can just see is not a cohesive unit, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, for sure. We can see it from the outside. And here's the thing. Archie Miller inherited Justin Smith. Like, he was there when he got there. So it isn't like he recruited him and he has to live with the issues. I mean, he was there when he got there. I think he did the best with what he could.
We got a lot more coming up. You're listening to Indiana Sports Beat with Coyle Leary, come to you from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. Hey, it's Father's Day weekend, and if you are looking for something to do for Pops, got you covered, and man, in a big way, get major dad points this Father's Day. Treat him to a round on the Donald Ross course at French Lick. Dad plays for just $1 with a full paid round on Sunday, June 21st. Hurry, tee times won't last. Give him a call at 812-936-5523. 812-936-5523. Man, that's a beautiful course. You talk about a beautiful weekend. That'd be awesome. We got more coming up here on Indiana Sports Beat. We're back to the Golf Club Eagle Point Studios with more Coyle Leary right after this.
Where can I find a woman like that? I'll play along with the charade.
Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
I'm Rain Shaddy, and I'm a Hoosier. As a toddler, you could always find me running around in a cream and crimson onesie and a red IU hat reminiscent of those worn during the world-famous William Tell timeout, shouting, "Go Hoosiers!" Like many other alum, I chose to make Bloomington my home. As a civic and alumni leader, I have become very knowledgeable about our community and would love to share my insights with you as your realtor. Find me on Facebook or call or text me, Ryan Shaddy, with FC Tucker Bloomington Realtors at 765-623-9093.
Now that warm weather has arrived, it's time to hit the links, and there's no better place than the Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers of the Bloomington Herald-Times, the Golf Club at Eagle Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Pub and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make a tee time. That's 812-824-1100. The Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. This is Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat with Coyle and Leary. Indiana Sports Beat is now a part of the Rivals Network. You can go to thehoosier.com to sign up. It's free. Catch the show there each day live or at your convenience. You can also like or follow us on Facebook, follow the show's rebroadcast anywhere you podcast. If we're not on a radio station where you live, we should be. Let your local station know they need to carry Indiana Sports Beat with Coyle and Leary, or simply go to thehoosier.com.
Some of the best sounds you'll ever hear are generic, safe, effective, even money-saving, just like FDA-approved generic drugs. Even if they don't come in the exact same color or shape as their brand name equivalents, they have the same key ingredients and go through a rigorous review process. Talk to your doctor or pharmacist today and visit fda.gov/generic drugs. Generics are safe, effective, and can save you money. You'll like the sound of that.
This is James Blackman Jr., former Indiana Hoosier. Make sure you're keeping up with the Hoosiers on Indiana Sports Beat.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat. Coyle Lee coming to you from the Golf Club Eagle Point Studios on this Friday. It's June 19th. Beautiful weekend expected. Ryan from Michigan hits the text line, says, I cannot wait till IU men's basketball season. 4 months and a couple of days until the first game. Tebow hit us up again. Mercer has top 24 recruiting class, including 5 from Indiana for baseball. There's a lot of programs in Indiana that are looking good. What's your favorite golf course? Todd Leary?
Ever?
Favorite golf course?
I mean, Crooked Stick has to be one of the favorites. Sycamore Hills up in Fort Wayne is actually Sycamore Hills is probably my favorite.
They've never had another major event at Crooked Stick since the PGA?
Yeah, they had the BMW championship there like 3 years ago.
Oh, they did. Okay.
It's an awesome venue for that. Like it's great.
Yeah, I remember being there for John Daly when he won. That's just talk about how old I am, but
I was there for that too.
That was an experience, man.
Victoria National is probably. I mean, it's very difficult to say Victoria National is not the best course in the state of Indiana. I mean, it is just that good.
How far in a time is going to do? But the IU course compared to the Victoria National.
Yeah,
we're talking about a brand new course versus a well-established course.
10 years, it'll be at that point. But I'll say this: I've played a lot of courses that were, that opened brand new and didn't have old greens to refurb and make them from something that was already there. And the IU greens they're already 4 or 5 years experience. Like they're that far along already. They did the right thing in making sure the greens are great. The fairways and stuff will come in. The rough and that stuff. They can make it difficult. It's not, it'll take it 5, 6, 7 to 10 years for it to be Victoria National or Crooked Stick-esque. But it should get there. It's that good.
Well, they want it to get there, so that's half the battle right there. And they're probably not going to run into money issues because it's a university.
Yeah, it's a state. Yeah,
so they'll be able to develop the vote.
They can call Uncle Ned. They can call Uncle Ned if they have any problems.
Uncle Ned, we need some more grass up here. We need some more.
The IU course. This is what's awesome. Is I can assure you. Here's the funny part. I was talking to Coach Mike Mayer last week, and he said, "Look, when I recruit players, I never bring them to the golf course." Think about that.
That's embarrassing.
Is that amazing?
It's embarrassing
for him to be able to even
recruit anybody
to get a team is amazing. And I'll tell you, the golf course that used to be there, like I was embarrassed by it. As an alumni of Indiana University, I was embarrassed by it.
The state of Indiana,
the exact opposite. This is the opposite.
It's not like the state of Indiana is known as a golf mecca, but you've got great champions in Fuzzy Zeller. You've got some great courses here. Victoria National. I mean, Purdue even has their course is very,
camping
nice.
Course is awesome at Purdue.
Crooked Stick, as you've mentioned, there's another one up there that's held a major event. There's some great courses here. So having a track that looked like a municipal beat up par 3, it looked like a par 3 junker that someone just decided to turn their pasture into a golf course. Almost. I mean, it was that bad.
It was that bad, and it was. It was just not maintained well, and I don't blame that on the people who were doing it. It just wasn't a good piece of property to be able to work with. And I mean, they did a fantastic job with it. And, here's one of the things that you can think about. So the University of Illinois has a great golf program. Ohio State has a great golf program. It's not the proximity. It's not the location of the state of Indiana because we don't get, our weather's not good enough for us to, foster a good golf team. That's not the case because Ohio State does it, Illinois does it, Purdue does it. And so building this golf course is really, it's not going to flip the switch and happen immediately. But 5 to 7 years from now, IU will have a pretty consistent golf team that will compete nationally.
I mentioned earlier that there's potentially more building names changes coming up at IU because they are currently reviewing all building names that are named after somebody. The Wildermuth Center Hyper was changed to the Bill Garrett Fieldhouse in honor of Bill Garrett, obviously. But also, it turns out the Wildermuth dude was a segregationist, so they're looking at all these names. But a great question from Tim: does Bob Knight get anything named after him at IU? That's a great question because the basketball stuff has all been geared towards the money people, Cook Hall, Simon Scott. But then you got
Isn't it Branch McCracken Court?
Yeah,
the court's already.
So the court's gone, and it should have been the court should have been Bob Knight Court. I mean, it's just kind of funny right there on the Knight Court, but I don't know how they did not name the court after Bob Knight. I mean, I don't care what was going on. Branch McCracken obviously won 2 national champions. He got it done first, very deserving as well of something big. But, man, I just think that the court should have been named after Bob Knight.
I don't disagree with you. What probably should have happened, and I don't know, maybe this is normal, was the Dean Dome called the Dean Dome before
That's just a
Dean
nickname.
Smith?
No. It was just a nickname given to it when they built it.
Okay, so what the only thing they probably could have done would have been name something while he was still the coach, because after that, now it's all just for us.
Oh, actually, they did. The official name was the Dean Smith Center, I think. I take that back.
While he was still the coach, right? I think so.
I think you're right.
But I mean, here's the thing: since Coach Knight left, and this could be debated, and I'm not saying I'm steadfast and this is how it has to be, but he's hated the university and said nothing but bad things since he left.
Yeah.
So why would you? I mean, it would be a really awkward ceremony for them to name the building after him and him not be there.
Well, they couldn't. They built
and still be alive.
The statue that's in the Simon Scott Assembly Hall right now, celebrating the 1976 team, has the major contributors minus Bob Knight.
Minus him,
we wouldn't allow it. It's a shame because he'd have a statue right now, but I'm sure that'll probably change.
Here's the person that sits in a pretty good position with that is Scott Dolson, because he steps into something and I don't think I'm saying anything crazy here by saying at the Indiana University, in order to be an athletic director that's viewed as a good athletic director, you got to have a good basketball team. I mean, I don't think I'm saying anything out of the norm here. And so one of the things you can do is endear the basketball fans, and that's going to be finding something you can name after Bob Knight.
Yeah, it's actually a great question because you want to talk about completing the healing.
I think today now he would do it. I think his family getting involved. I think he would do it now.
Well, plus his family is actually going to be making the decision if you want to be honest about it. So
exactly.
But what is there left to name for him that is worthy of his name?
I'll be honest with you. I'll bet you the Cook family would give up the name of Cook Hall and let it be named after Bob Knight. They're that good of people. And it doesn't get talked about enough to really matter, I don't think. I mean, we call it Cook Hall, but I don't know that if we just ask the average fan what's the name of that building next to Assembly Hall, if they could say it's Cook Hall.
I mean, is it going to be Simon Scott Assembly Hall forever? Does that refurbishing donation get you the name on there forever?
It better. 40 mil, it better. If there's an expiration date on 40 million, then somebody did a bad negotiation process.
Hey man, it's always, what have you done for me lately? I mean, what if they tore it down?
Well, that would be look.
That's a discussion in and of itself. Okay,
here. Look, I can speak to this. Market Square Arena that I won a state championship in Indiana and is no longer there. Okay, now I love Bankers Life Fieldhouse or whatever the new name of that place is going to be. That place is awesome. It's so much better than Market Square was, blah, 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 all the different things. You had to redo it. But I hate the fact that Market Square is not there anymore.
It was unique.
So I don't like Assembly Hall. Assembly Hall is a terrible place to watch a game. Now, I love I'm an IU person. I've loved it since I was born. But it's a crappy place to watch
horrible.
a game.
It's absolutely horrific.
When you compare, it is probably the 9th best arena in the Big Ten. I mean, it's that far down on list of arenas. Everyone has a better arena than IU does.
Yeah, I'm trying to think.
But do I want them to tear it down and build a new one? Part of me would hate that.
Because it's unique. It was known so long for being so loud because of how it is designed. It's a theater.
It's crappy. It's terrible. It's a bad. It's a bad design.
From a fan standpoint, it is absolutely horrific. You've got 5. I don't know how many total seats are in the balconies, but all those seats, they're just wasted. They're just you might as well just get a telegram sent to you about what's going on.
So let's look at it. Let's look at it big picture wise. Okay, someday, I think we can probably all agree there's going to be a new arena. So why not go ahead and have that be now?
Well,
why not let us be the beneficiaries of seeing it sitting?
I don't know this to be fact, so I'm saying that right off the bat. But I heard that back before they did the renovations, that Fred Glass, this would have been early in his tenure, he believed that they needed a new basketball arena. And I think that he was set to go that direction, but then the $40 million renovation deal made it easy, and they didn't do that. And then that sets it back. Once you do that, you can't put $40 million into something and then tear it down 5 years later. That thing is going to be here for a while.
Here's the question. Here's a question
sucks.
For you. It does. It is. It's awful. But here's a question for you. And I honestly, I can go back and forth on this all day long. Would you, let's hypothetical, they decide they're going to build a new arena. Would you rather them build a 10,000 seat arena like Cameron Indoor Stadium?
Nope.
That's the craziest, loudest, noisiest, closest to the floor place there is, or a 23 or 24,000 seat rep arena?
In between. I want
Baker's Life, 23,000.
They can't fill 23,000 just because of where they're located. You need to be. Yeah, I think they could do 19 would be good. 17 would be fine though. But if you would just design it better, look at Mackey. You talk about Mackey so much. That thing only holds 14,000, but it's a perfectly round. All the seats are good. The worst seat is not bad. I mean, the absolute worst seat at the top ain't too bad. It's lower than the press seating at Assembly Hall. I can tell you that.
Yeah, but if they redid Mackey Arena, like the problem with Mackey Arena is they don't have room for suites and things like that.
Well, it's because they got those damn recliners down on the floor.
If you're going to build a state of the art, but they had to do that because the whole thing was just bleachers all the way around.
Yeah.
But I mean, if you had to build a brand new state of the art and you could put suites in, you could put all the boxes in and all that stuff. The question becomes, would you rather? Now, you're always going to have students. So you're going to have a section where you're going to have students where.
So that's 7,000 right there.
The tickets cost $20 a piece. Okay. Yeah. But then the question is, do you take a 10,000 seat arena and charge $500 a ticket?
No.
Or do you take a 17,000 seat arena and charge $40 a ticket, $50 a ticket?
17,000 seat arena, because 7,000 of those are students. Largest student section in the country, so that helps them fill that. You got that already. So
Cameron Indoor Stadium's pretty awesome. It's pretty crazy.
It's not from a fan standpoint. Unless you are in there, the 9,000 seats is just not enough. It's not enough to hold. I mean, it's like a high school gym. I mean, it's cool.
Those atmospheres when they're full are pretty awesome.
There's no doubt about that, but I think that Indiana would have that atmosphere on a regular basis with a nicer stadium, with a nicer place to play. There is no way, if you're in the balcony, there is no way you can get into this game. It's hard. I mean, I can remember how far. It's like looking off the Sears Tower. It's kind of hard to get emotionally charged. Yeah, it is. It's like, so yeah, I think that keeps people out of the game, and they're so far from the court. I mean, physically, they are a freaking quarter mile away from the court. It's unbelievable, but we're not going to see it. It's fun to talk about, but we're not going to see a new basketball arena, not anytime soon. I don't think I don't know that in my
yeah.
lifetime.
I don't think so either. And there's no reason for it. I mean, Assembly Hall is, the renovations that they did. It serves the purposes right now. It's fine. They've got other things to worry about. You know what? Let's go win a couple national championships and worry about building a new building.
Win a Big Ten title. You got that right. I mean, you're right. They got bigger problems to worry about than seats. But not winning has also played into this because
Sure.
Indiana overcame Assembly Hall for a long, long time. Fans they showed up. Even during Tom Crean when he was first, they showed up. They showed it because that's what Indiana fans do. They love basketball. They show up. And that's kind of taken a hit when you have a couple of years where you keep chiseling at it. There's been a hit.
Look, it was easy to root for Dane Fife and Coverdale and Jared Jeffries and Jeff Newton and those guys. It was easy to root for those guys. It was easy to root for Yogi Ferrell and Victor Oladipo, Jordan Holes. It was easy to root for those guys. It's not easy to root for Devontae Green, and I don't mean it to be mean. I swear I don't. But it's not easy to root for him when he's that helter-skelter. It's not easy to root for Troy Williams or Troy. What's the name?
Yeah, Troy Williams.
Troy Williams. It's not easy to root for a guy like that. But you take these guys here. Trace Jackson Davis. Is it easy to root for Trace Jackson Davis? It is for me.
Absolutely,
for sure.
And all those guys that are coming.
I'm only using him as an example of what's there now because there's a whole locker room full of guys that I can look. Who last year you would be the first person that could say no one was harder on Joey Brunk last year than me. And I'll tell you, I love the fact he's on my team, the team I root for. Like, I love it. But it doesn't necessarily mean – I think he can do a lot of good things for this team, and most of them might not include playing time on the floor.
And next season on the floor, I think you're going to see leadership haven't seen on an Indiana team. And
since the Jordan Holes and Yogi Ferrells and the Victor Oladipos of the world. I completely agree with you.
It has been non-existent, and that is going to make a tremendous difference in wins. That alone will win you games because you're not going to lose games because you don't have that going on.
Yep. It's immeasurable. It truly is. And not having guys that are difficult to coach is immeasurable. And I think not only will they have the best season so far under Archie Miller, I think Archie Miller will have the most fun of any year he's had at Indiana so far, coaching these kids that are here.
Winning's fun.
Winning is fun. Winning is fun. But the whole process itself will be more fun.
Oh, absolutely.
It really will.
It'll be fun for the students. It'll be fun for the fans. It should be fun, more fun for everyone, which, again, continues to play off. I just talked about how Indiana's kind of lost the little luster at Assembly Hall because it'd been chipped away. Well, I think that they can slowly build that right back up. Actually, it won't be slowly.
It won't be slowly. It'll be
that's the one thing about Indiana. But you pour water on it and it grows like that. We saw that during Tom Crean. You give them what they want, and man, there's an explosion of people that are ready to just bust at the seams and celebrate Indiana basketball. They've been waiting for the reason to do so. Next year should be the start on that, I think.
I completely agree with you.
I hope everybody has had a great day. We certainly have. Loved having Alec Lasley on to get us caught up on recruiting. There's a ton of it, but if you didn't get it all, go to thehoosier.com because he's got it there, and he'll continue to have more there as well. Hope everyone has a great Father's Day weekend. Take Pops out to French Lick, the Donald Ross course. He can play for $1. So that's an incredible deal there. But should be just an absolutely beautiful, beautiful weekend, Todd Leary. I hope you have a great time with your 3 kids, my 3 sons.
Yeah, it'll be. We might get a little 2-on-2 basketball game going. See if we can get some black eyes and teeth knocked out over the weekend. It'll be fun.
Family tradition, baby.
Yep.
Family tradition. All right. I hope everybody. We appreciate you joining us, and I hope you all go out and have a great weekend. Happy Father's Day to everybody again, and looking forward to seeing Kylie this weekend. So I hope everyone has a great one. We appreciate you. For Todd and Jimmy, I'm Jim Coyle. I will see you on the radio.
You